What's up, everybody? The Daddy Cat here. This is Android Now, and today we are going to be doing the 9-month review of the Google Nexus 6P. Now, before I get too far in depth into this phone and how it's lasted me and the flaws and all that stuff, I just want to say here at KCat, we don't believe too much in making everything 100% perfect. So all videos that we do will have minimal edits and will be virtually raw. We are not perfect, you are not perfect, so why does a video need to be perfect? That being said, let's just dive right into it. Our first topic, the camera. The camera of the Nexus 6P is probably one of the best qualities of this phone and holds up still to this day compared to some of the higher end devices like the Note 5 and the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, as well as the Samsung Galaxy S7. Now, I, in my opinion, believe that the camera on this phone is still superior to a Samsung camera. I'm sure lots of people will say that this is not the case and everything like that, but I love it. I think that it is great, and I think that the camera on this phone holds up still 9 months later better than most of the phones that are out there to date today. Next thing we got to get into is the display of this phone. Now, we have a Super AMOLED display on this phone, so pretty much the exact same display that is usually on your typical Samsung Galaxy cell phone. Now, I love AMOLED displays. Obviously, they can have issues with burn-ins and everything. The Nexus 6P does not have one single slight glimpse of a burn-in anywhere on the phone 9 months later. So that being said, that is great, and I think that the screen has proven to be probably one of the best features of this phone, as well as the camera. I do have some concerns about the glass on this phone. I do not use screen protectors on my devices. I do not like them. They feel weird to me. They kind of like take away from the, I guess, the sensation of touching the screen and everything. It makes it feel more plasticky, and I just don't like it. But I kind of wish that I had one on this phone, because for some reason Huawei, when they made this phone, they used a glass, you know, and I'm not going to say exactly what glass it is. Everybody knows what it is, but I almost kind of want to question it, because I've had phones before with this exact same glass on it before, and this screen scratches like crazy. There's probably like 2 million little tiny scratch marks all over the screen of this phone, and I'm not really understanding why. Not a deal breaker, but just kind of different, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't feel like it should be that way. Next, the speakers of this phone are great still to this day. 9 months later, I blare music, I blare YouTube videos at a 100% max. I'm a ROM user, so my volumes are higher than an average user's phone on a Nexus 6P. They're holding up very well. I'm very happy with it. If everybody remembers, the Nexus 6, when it came out, had a volume issue that when the battery got low, the actual volume would get lower. Like, you'd be watching a video at like max, loudness, and then all of a sudden it would slowly, like, the volume would almost dim like a screen light and stuff. This phone does not have that at all, and I am very, very happy about it, because I had probably about 4 Nexus 6s that had that same problem. I think there actually one of them I didn't, maybe 2 of them, and I don't remember. But yeah, no problems with the speakers. Next is the charger port. The charger port is a USB Type-C, as you guys know. It's great. I don't have really any complaints about the port itself. Now, USB fast charging is a little bit different story, which we will get into that next. But the charger port on this phone is 100% good still. No problems at all. Not even wiggly. I think that USB Type-C is probably the way of the future. No problems at all with that. Now, as for the charging capabilities, like I said, I'm a ROM user, but I try out all the stock stuff and everything as well. This phone does not charge fast enough for me. I don't know why, but it just doesn't. I feel like when I first got the phone, it charged real well, really quick, like they say, under 90 minutes and everything. But not no more. It takes about 2 hours, almost 3 hours sometimes, to charge it from 0 to 100% while on a rapid charge, while on a ROM, or while on stock. And to me, that's kind of an issue. I don't know if that's software security updates causing issues and stuff. It's just I'm not really digging that too much. But that's about one of the only things that I do not like about the phone. So for that being said, that's not a deal breaker for me. But at the same time, it may be a deal breaker for some other people. Next, the body and housing of this phone. Kind of crappy. I'm not gonna lie. I've had this phone since launch day. About 2 days after launch day, these marks right here, if you look real close, right on my thumb, those are paint wear marks. Those are silver. So now it's silver down there. This is from being in a case. I have never one time had this phone out. I've never sat it down on the table like that or any kind of service other than in my phone or in a case. Now, this could be a deal breaker for some. It's not really a deal breaker for me. It's kind of expected with metal, but it could be a deal breaker for some people, especially if you use a clear case, you know, that's rubbing inside that clear case, then that's kind of going to be a little bit of an eyesore. You know, I mean, you don't have a million people in the world looking at your phone. I do, because I always have a different phone. But, yeah, I'm not really too sure why they decided to go with a type of paint that was going to peel like that. But, I don't know. Like I said, not a deal breaker for me. My next issue, though, that I have, this could be a pretty big deal breaker for a lot of people and stuff, especially me, too, if I maybe had this happen a little bit worse. But I don't know if you can see, but let's see here, right there, that is a dent. Now, I know he probably doesn't look that bad on camera, but it's a pretty big dent. Now, this dent happened. I actually took the case off of the phone while we were at dinner one night, and I set it down like this, so that way I could actually look at these marks that were on there on the back of it that I noticed. I actually had noticed it the same day, and this happened the same day as these marks happened. I touched it. Like, I legitimately touched it. Like, didn't bang it, didn't smash it. I kind of touched it on the corner of the table, and it put that massive dent there. Now, I mean, it's like I said, you know, it might not be a deal breaker for some, but I feel like if this phone was to be dropped without a case, it would probably be destroyed, and that would suck because this is such a great phone. But so that's an issue. 9 months later, you know, we have the scratches on the screen, the dent, and you know, and some other blemishes around the phone and stuff as well. But it's mainly from the case, like I said. But yeah. Software 9 months later, like I said, I use ROMs, but I've also tried all the stock stuff. I've tried the Android N developer previews. Nexus never has any kind of issues with any of their software, so usually. So I can't really give you a good, like, yeah, this software is better than this software on this Nexus and everything like that. I think that it's a very, very solid software system that Google has for their phones. And I am an avid Nexus user. I get every Nexus phone that comes out every single year, whether it be 1 or 2 phones, even the tablets. So, software experience 9 months later, still fantastic. Next is the haptic feedback. Now, this goes with the Samsung thing, okay? I don't like Samsungs anymore, but I love Samsung's haptic feedback. I love it. It feels so great, and it's just like probably one of the best things about their phones. The Google Nexus 6P and the Google Nexus 5X feel identical to a Samsung phone. As a matter of fact, if somebody handed me this phone in a Samsung case, I would 100% believe, without looking at it, just feeling it, that it would be a Samsung phone, judging by the vibration patterns that it has. I love that. And this phone has that. Now, just like a Samsung phone, though, if you've ever had a Samsung phone, the vibration's pretty high, but it feels good. But it starts to kind of feel like it's like the vibrator inside's kind of getting loose. Like when I type on the phone, it doesn't feel. This sounds super weird, but it makes sense to me. But it usually used to feel tighter. Like when you would type on the board, you could feel the vibrator spin in there, and it would feel tighter. Now it kind of feels like it's getting a little bit loose inside there. It's not as great to type on the keyboard and everything. Like I said, not a deal breaker. The Nexus 6P, in my opinion, is still one of the best phones out to date. The last thing I guess I could talk about is the fact that this piece right here on the bottom of the 6P, this is a piece of plastic, okay? This is not metal, this is plastic. And it's starting to come up. I don't know if this has to do with the board or anything like that, but it's starting to peel up for some reason. And that could be a deal breaker for a lot of people. even potentially me, if it got worse. It actually is starting to get pretty bad, but who knows? Maybe it'll fall off, and that'll just be, maybe the glue was coming off or something. I don't know. But there's that. My last thing that I probably want to go over about the Nexus 6P is everybody had the issue of the chip overheating when they first got this phone and everything like that. I've had this phone since launch date. I have never had an overheating problem. I have never had any kind of heating in general. To be completely honest with you, this phone stays cooler than most phones I've ever had, probably the coolest phone besides the Nexus 5X. So I've never had any kind of chip problems at all. So everybody that has, maybe leave in the comments below, and maybe I can do a review on other people's phones that are having overheating issues, but I can't personally do one myself on my own device because I've never had that issue. So I kind of think that it might have been a software issue. I don't think that it was legitimately a hardware issue, and I think that everybody that, you know, made such a big deal about this chip is kind of bitching. So I actually know quite a few people that were actually turned away from this phone because of that exact issue. And I've never had an issue with it, and I keep trying to push everybody in. Everybody that I know, when they ask me what phone they should go to, I'm like, man, this Nexus 6P is where it's at. So I guess my my conclusion about the Nexus 6P 9 months later is the phone's amazing. There's nothing bad about the phone. I mean, if you can get over the fact that it has some issues with the frame or the chassis of the phone and everything, getting scraped with the paint, or a dent on the phone, then you're gravy. The phone's amazing. Camera's great, software's great, speakers are great, charging port's great, everything's great. The only thing that you could really ever be mad about is the fact that it only comes in 3 colors. So, that being said, I'm going to be doing more reviews of phones. Again, this is Android Now with KCat Media. I am the Daddy Cat. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, like, subscribe. Also, go check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you can possibly think of that has social media, we are there. Check out some of our other shows and stuff as well. We do not just cover Android. So, that being said, thank you so much for listening to me babble. Have a good day.